in terms of that. So what makes a king out of a slave? Courage. So I'm sure you all know that. And courage is required to follow the yellow brick road, to face oneself, to be oneself, and to speak truth to power. And I have been a slave to personal disbeliefs, and I'm sure some of you have experienced that yourselves. And that makes me a slave. And slavery is built on self-bound fears. Fear of rejection, fear of exercising my rights, fear of my own empowerment. And that also makes me illegitimately sitting in the regal seat of my truth. I was an unkind royal toward my majestic inner kingdom. The Wizard of Oz story, it exhibited the Cowardly Lion's courage at a critical juncture. His travel companions did as well. And all the people who have character anywhere have this desirable attribute of courage. We see firemen running into burning buildings, and of course that takes courage, but not only physical courage, it's the courage of emotional and spiritual courage. And like those who speak out against injustice, like Martin Luther King, like Yuri Kochiyama, like Nelson Mandela, Dolores Huerta, and Rosa Parks, these are people who followed their truth. Courage is respected. So what really are the attributes of courage? Dr. Melanie Greenberg, a psychologist, had this to say. There are 6 attributes she believes. 1 is feeling fear yet choosing to act, following your heart, persevering in the face of adversity, standing up for what is right, expanding your horizons, letting go of the familiar, and facing suffering with dignity or faith. Now, our culture is rich with fairy tales of truth and courage that exemplify these traits. I mean, there are heroic biblical accounts and Hollywood heroes. We were all raised on inspirational tales of courage, from David and Goliath to Star Wars. And this movie that I watched for 17 years in a row, The Wizard of Oz. So let me just give you some background on the plot following the works of Andrew Johnson and John Algeo. The Wizard of Oz is an allegorical quest for enlightenment, for love, for service, and a return to true home, all bound by courage. It's about finding one's truth through courage. Now, Lyman Frank Baum, the author, the writer of Wizard of Oz, he was born in 1851 and he died in 1919. He was the wizard's own prototype in the play, the book. He and his wife, Maud Gage, joined the Theosophical Society in 1892. Now, Theosophy is defined by its founder, Helena Blavatsky, as the and I quote her, the archaic wisdom religion, the esoteric doctrine once known in every ancient country having claims to civilization. And one of the main purposes of the Theosophical Society, and this is going back some time, right? To form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, of creed, of sex, caste, or color. Blavatsky saw herself as a missionary of this ancient knowledge, and actually, the Theosophical Society, that was founded in 1875, had a major influence on Buddhist modernism and Hindu reform movements. And those then spread back to the US in the West, these modernized versions. Back in the 1800s, there was a lot of gurus coming over from India. Emerson was influenced by them, and so on. So it was a really rich time in spiritual diversity. So here's an, well, what is this? Yeah, okay. 1800s America, right, okay. And Baum wrote The Wizard of Oz 10 years after he joined the Theosophical Society. So, you know, he got a lot of rich influence that informed his work. And this is the analytical synopsis of the Theosophical allegory of what The Wizard of Oz was about. So Dorothy lives with Auntie Em and Uncle Henry on a farm in Kansas. And one day a cyclone comes, and while her aunt hurries to the cellar for protection, Dorothy is looking for little Toto, who's hidden underneath the bed in the house. So consequently, she goes in there, and the house is picked up by the cyclone, and Dorothy and Toto are both in this cyclone, and they're carried into another world, and they're plopped down in the land of Oz, right on top of the Wicked Witch of the East, killing her and freeing the Munchkin inhabitants of that land. Well, this makes Dorothy an enemy of the witch's sister, the Wicked Witch of the West. And that's the shadow side of our nature. And Dorothy wants only to get home to Kansas. She's advised to follow the yellow brick road to Emerald City in the land of Oz, and there she can consult with the wizard. She's also advised to wear the ruby slippers from the deceased witch, never to remove them, for these slippers possess great powers, or another way of interpreting it is her own instincts and inner wisdom. Now, Dorothy's name is a variation of Dorothea, the reversal of Theodora, which means gift of God. And as that name suggests, Dorothy is the soul sent from God out of the nirvana of Kansas into the samsara, or the reincarnation, of Oz. And that's to say, in early Buddhist texts, it's not the answer to the question, where are we? But the question, what are we doing? Instead of place, it's a process. So the soul sent to experience and develop in this experience, this process. So Auntie Em's name suggests the archetypal feminine. Bao's wife was named Maud, and his mother-in-law, who was a very strong woman and powerful influence in his life, was named Matilda. And the initial of their names is also the first letter of mother. By similar associations, Henry, which means ruler of the home, suggests the archetypal masculine. And her little dog Toto, the archetype of the mischievous beast, is the intuitive, the primal part of self. So together they stay together to set out on the yellow brick road. Now, interestingly, it is a yellow road. It's not green, it's not red, it's not blue. And as a chakra therapist, I can say that yellow represents the solar plexus, which is essentially the center of confidence. It's located just above the belly button, and it's where we learn to fully accept and believe in ourselves. Simply, it's our inner compass that empowers our inner strength. And when it's balanced, confidence emanates from here, and that issues a certain self-assurance. The solar plexus also affects our world perspective and how we operate in the outside world. One might consider this yellow road the longest, which is the inward journey. Along the way, she meets three companions. Each join her in the hope that the Wizard of Oz will be able to give them each what they lack. And the first one is the Scarecrow, whose head is just stuffed with straw, and he wants some brains so he can think. The second one is the Tin Man, who wants a heart so he can love. And the third companion is the Cowardly Lion, who ought to be king of the forest, but he's afraid of everything. And he wants courage and the will to act. Now, theosophically speaking, these three companions can be thought of as the mental, the emotional, and the physical bodies as we acquire them in our incarnation. And their courageous quest is to travel together into the unknown to locate their ultimate truth. We never really need to leave home to find out who we are. We have all that we need inside us. Erroneously, they all think that the wizard would simply bestow these gifts upon them, but when they meet the wizard, he challenged them. He challenged them to bring back the broomstick of the wicked witch of the West before he's going to grant any wishes. And all of their fears are triggered. And I'm thinking about Sister Joan Chittister, who writes, "Love and fear are motivators that lie very close to the surface in all of us. Life is a struggle between caution and courage, between recklessness and prudence, between bright spirits and common sense." So as they embark upon this journey, the Scarecrow, who believed he had no brain, masterminded the plan. The Tin Man, who thought he had no heart, showed his love for Dorothy and was always in tears. And the Cowardly Lion, who was always afraid, led them through different dangers. Love vanquished their fear, and they overcame the witch. Chittister continues, "When love is the motivator, life is full of the impossible and the good. When fear controls us, life is lived carefully, watching every step, because, after all, the worst can happen at any moment." So the troupe goes on this journey, and they return to the wizard with the requested broomstick. And thanks to Toto, the intuitive, the inner instincts, pulls back the curtain on the wizard, and they found that the great and powerful Wizard of Oz is no wizard at all. He used sleight of hand and technology to create an image. He had no power over Dorothy or other than Dorothy or her companions. He was merely a figurehead. And this illustrates that we don't really need any wizardry or authority to make us become who or what we are. Teachers outside of ourselves may be imposters, deceptors. The Cowardly Lion had all the courage he needed. He just had to recognize it in himself. And being with the love of his friends and Dorothy, Tin Man, and Scarecrow was how he was able to express courage and have it reflected back to him. So if all these friends are part of self, capital S, then recognition comes from one's own intuition. And I have heard it said that intuition is the tuition we pay ourselves. With all the qualities we want or need that are already inside of us, our task is to follow our yellow brick road, to pause, to listen, and allow Great Spirit to emerge from within and to merge with us. Rabbi Hillel, one of the most important religious leaders in Jewish history, he said, "If I am not for myself, who will be? And when I am for myself, what am I?" Let your inner companions witness and support your courage to face your fears. And when you must stand alone, as we all must from time to time, let it be that your inner self, your truth, is your comfort. That truth that you are the work of universal spirit. And are you for you? Do you believe the wizard instead of yourself? Are you a slave to fearful falsehoods? Or are you the king of your thoughts and actions? Like the Cowardly Lion, when they had to rescue Dorothy, he chose to act in the face of fear. Like the Tin Man, led by love, he followed his heart. And like the Scarecrow, when threatened by fire from the Wicked Witch, he let it be known that he's not afraid of a little fire. Persevere in the face of adversity. Do you stand up for what is right to protect the disadvantaged, just like Dorothy did when she stood up to the lion for chasing little Toto? And when she opposed the powerful wizard who frightened her friends? Expand your horizons. Let go of the familiar, just as Dorothy and her troop did, traveling into the unknown to fulfill their deepest needs. It is our birthright to live fully and in harmony, to live in peace and joy and in the light of great spirit, just as Dorothy did when returning to Kansas, having been with her inner and outer cast of family and friends. The only way the world is to progress is by our living in the light of truth, to take a stand and hold true to it. That is how we heal, and that is how we become real. That is how we leave slavery and become our own kind inner king. To fully be ourselves, we must have courage for dominion over our thoughts and actions. And by doing so, we are authentic in our hearts and souls. Courage is a must to lose self to self. Summon the courage to die the inner death. The rebirth reality is all your glory and splendor of the divinity within you. And courage allows your voice to speak your truth. Allow the fire in your soul to illuminate and ignite the fire and crackling sound of truth. Be the advocate for those who cannot. Be the one to speak truth to power. Resolve a freshly kept renewal each day. Rest your soul in the truth and courage, absorbing what is inherent to every human being. Go beyond the mind's logical trickery. Go to your intuition, to your heart. That's where you'll find peace and courage to identify with yourself rather than your outer construct. Whatever we focus on will grow. If I focus on discomfort, that will grow. If I focus on stressors, that will amplify them. But when I focus on peace and love, that grows. And if I focus on courage, that will become my anthem. This doesn't happen by just attending workshops and reading about it. It happens by doing it, by living it. You know, I used to wear glasses when I didn't need them because I thought it made me look smart. You know, I didn't put in the effort to develop my intelligence, and that was fear, rather than an act of courage, and the best I could do at the time. So for me to become really who I am, I had to do something. I'm a terrible test taker, and I had to become more intelligent through my actions. I finally took those actions, and I developed my intelligence, and now I know I am smart, and I wear glasses because I need them. The Roman philosopher Seneca wrote, "It's not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare, they are difficult." Feel fear and choose to act. Be courageous. Take an action. Follow your heart. Step into the healing discomfort, because that will pass. Be your own advocate. Persevere in the face of adversity. Hillel the Elder also stated, "Whosoever destroys a soul is considered to have destroyed an entire world, and whoever saves a life is considered as if he saved the entire world." So save your life today. Do this and save the world. It's desperately in need of saving and coming home. To expand your horizons, to come home and be yourself by letting go of the familiar. Dorothy stood in her truth. She stood in her magic shoes. She faced uncertainty and suffered with dignity and faith. And that returned her to Kansas. And finally, after all her courageous adventures, Dorothy exclaims, "Oh, but anyway, Toto, we're home, home, and this is my room, and you are all here, and I'm going to never, ever leave here again because I love you all. And oh, Auntie Em, there's no place like home." And so it is.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.